Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Hit List. I'm your host, Stefan Polius, alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. It's a overcast Monday, but we're gonna make it work. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. A little fatigued, but um, I'll be you know getting some rest after the show, so I'll be all right. What about you, Steph?
I'm doing well. We got a nice victory yesterday, and I feel like just the last few days, from the weekend has just been like I wake up early, I'm out all day, and then I come back at night. So I'm a little tired myself. Looking to rest and relax a little bit. But overall, feeling good. Excited to be here as always. This is the best way to start my Monday. So I'm excited to be here. Deck, what about you?
Yeah, man, good weekend. Got the win. Cliff, I mean, Jesus, 7 innings, no runs. It's like the fifth time he's done that in the last 6 games. So
Who'd you guys beat?
we beat the Steamers. That was our
Oh,
first time playing them this year.
okay.
Yeah, I think we got them 13-1 or something. But yeah, shout out to boy Cliff, the old vet getting it done. I think that I want to say five quality starts out of the last 6 games. So it's nice to see the MSBL's Kyle Hendricks, Jamie Moyer hybrid
Jamie
getting it
Moyer.
done.
I haven't heard that name
Yeah,
in a
gotta
while.
rock the Sun Devils today. You know the vibes. Does anything to distract from the Yankees.
We're gonna cover the Yankees, so don't worry. You'll have your moment to speak on your kinfolk. But before that, I want to start with the NBA Finals. All right, when we covered it last, we had the Suns doing what they had to do at home, going up 2-0, and we had Game 3, which showed it's a different beast. All right, and when I by beast, I mean Giannis, which got to shout out Giannis because he does get a lot of flack. He has produced so far in this finals. I mean, he made finals history, or I should say he's in the history books now, being the second player only to have 40 plus points and 10 plus rebounds in consecutive NBA finals games, which Shaq is number one up
He's
there.
in some elite company.
He is an elite company, and he did have some help. He did have Drew Holiday and, you know, Chris Icy Hot Middleton, who
I
they
see.
contributed.
I like that.
Yeah,
Pretty
they
good.
contributed, but it was mostly just Giannis, and also a story of how the Suns just didn't show up. You didn't have Booker.
Devin. Hmm.
Yeah, what was he? 3 or 14, I think, from the floor, 10
Yeah.
points. You're not winning games like that. And I think Chris Paul had a high of 21 points. So Suns not doing it. But I want to ask this: what do you think are the odds of the Bucks pulling out and winning this second game at home, and what it is for the series? Jack, I'll start with you.
I think that it's huge for the Bucks. I mean, it sucks for the memes that there's going to be, no Suns in 4 in the finals, but it's great for the league. I mean, hey, we got a series now. It's 2-1. Game 4 is in Milwaukee. They can protect the dome again.
Yeah.
They'll get it done, and it'll be 2-2 heading back to Phoenix for Game 5. But I do think Phoenix is going to go up 3-1 in this series, and here's why. While they shot poorly last night, with Booker only scoring 10 points, going 3 for 14, like you said, and the team high being Chris Paul's 21, they still put up 100 points. And I'm not here to play, an optimist, but if you're shooting terrible and you're putting up 100 points, there's a great offensive team. We've seen them bounce back before, especially after, they lost to the Clippers when they were down. They were up 2-0, excuse me. I think they can do it again, and I think that we'll see them beat the Bucks in their own building. I think it's going to be tough to shut Giannis down, but like Steph said, Chris Icy Hot Middleton has been just that. Drew Holiday finally showed up. I don't expect them to do it again. I think that the Suns can just overpower them, and if they can get back to their offensive game plan that was working in games 1 and 2 and throughout the postseason, I think they'll be all right.
Nice, Greg. What about you? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
This the way this game went didn't surprise me. If you remember on Friday, I said the Bucks adjust very well,
Yeah.
especially coming home. They've been doing it all playoffs, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Bucks went out and did the same exact thing in Game 4 that they did in Game 3. So um, I could see them. Like I said, I still have Phoenix in 6, but I could see this going back to Phoenix being 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I think Jack, I'm more in agreement. I think we were aligned in that it's 7 games. I think Giannis is just going to be hard
I
to stop.
did say 6 with Greg.
You just say 6? Oh, you switched because I thought we were 7 when we
No,
were on
I
the
was
call show.
I was always 6. I was
You were
thinking about
6?
7, but I was always 6. Yeah.
Copy. So I heard you. So I'm only one at 7 here on this show then.
It's not a bad thing. It's very likely.
No, not at all. I mean, it is very likely. I see that with the way Giannis is playing right now, leading this team. And as long as he has, again, it's Chris Middleton or you have Drew Holiday or someone else stepping up to handle the offensive burden, not just Giannis himself, the Bucks have a chance. Obviously, a poor shooting night, for the Suns, and that might be the case that you need the Suns to not be on for the Bucks to have this chance. But I'm curious to see what happens in Game 4. I'm leaning Suns. I don't see them having, struggling back-to-back games, even on the road. But Greg,
they've been more consistent than the Bucks 2 and 3.
Yes.
I feel like, yeah, I think it's a big if to bring Middleton and Holiday back. I mean, but if they could ride ride their high from Game 3, that'll be big. But I think the Suns can get it done.
Yeah, agreed with you. But I want to ask, Greg, I'll start with you. Who do you think is the X factor in this next game in Game 4? Either side.
D Book. Yeah. When he scores big, they win. Very simple. After Deck and you guys give your X factor, there's something I want to throw out there about the series. So go on.
Yeah, Deck, your X factor.
I'm as much as I want to give 2 players, I'm going to give 1. I'm going to say Chris Middleton. If he's not on, this team is not on. And Giannis is great. We saw him put up 42 points in Game 2, and they still lost. It was like they didn't have a punch of chance just because the Suns were so dominant while it was a one-man show in Milwaukee, or in Phoenix, rather, for Milwaukee. So I think that if we see Chris Middleton ball out, the Bucks have a puncher's chance. But if he's cold and if he's not on, then I think the Suns are going to run through them in their own building, which is demoralizing for a team in the finals.
Agreed. Initially, I was Chris Middleton, X Factor. I'm going to switch up and do a Devin Booker like Greg. I agree that the Suns need him to go. The Suns will go where Devin Booker goes. And Chris Paul is amazing. He is the floor general, but that offensive burden can't be all on him because he is facilitating for that team and he can score. He has shown us that he can score in this series. But Devin Booker is going to be that X Factor to give the Suns what they need to get over the hump, especially on the road. So
Chris Paul is super consistent too.
Yes, he is. And I mean,
aside from when he came back from COVID, but otherwise he's been
not counting that.
I don't blame that.
So far in the finals though, like he has been consistent. He's been a rock for that team. But just like Giannis needs his help, like Chris Paul needs his help as well. So I'm going X Factor Chris Paul. But Greg, what is this add-on you had for us?
So I've seen in a few places in different chats on Facebook and people saying Giannis needs, to add to his bag or get a mid-range in his game. And to that, I ask, why? For what? Giannis is dominating with his style of play as we speak. As you mentioned in your opening, he's in some very elite company without having a consistent mid-range, without having a three-point shot. And then I asked somebody, I said, did we tell Shaq to get a mid-range game? No, he dominated in the paint. And we allowed him to do that because that was his bread and butter. So why do we feel the need to tell or critique Giannis that his game is not good enough? Now, I understand when, the Bucks weren't making it to the promised land, so to speak. Giannis needs to do something different. He needs to expand his game, a la Ben Simmons. But now that they're here and they are having a fighting chance, not in spite of Giannis, but because of him, that is no longer a critique. We have to stop. If the whole goal is to get to the finals and win, and Giannis is putting his team in a position to win with his style of play, there's no need to say that, hey, he needs to add more to his game. Will it help? Sure. But it is not a need. It is not a necessity. And then someone also said, Giannis is a perimeter player. I disagree. Giannis is not a perimeter player. He's skilled enough athletically to handle the ball as a big man 10 to 15 feet out from the paint and get to the paint using, he doesn't have the greatest handles in the world, but for a guy's size, he has decent handles. And as you can see, he used that against Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, and even DeAndre Ayton to get into the paint and play bully ball. And that's how he's ended up with back-to-back 40-point games. So let's cut Giannis some slack here with the need to improve his game when he's basically the reason the Bucks have one win in this series and are potentially able to tie it at 2.
He's doing what he does well. Like that's what matters, right? As long as he's focusing on his skill set and doing that well, then the Bucks can win. I think was he 12 of 12 from the paint, game 3?
No, he's definitely dominant. But the one rebuttal I will say is that right now, in my opinion, LeBron and KD are better players.
And that it wasn't even about that.
Okay, I know. But see,
more well-rounded for sure.
I'm getting there, yes. But when you give a guy, and I don't think he's in Ben Simmons territory, but when you give a guy who's that dominant in the paint, and Ziggy's saying he's a perimeter player, when you give a guy who is that dominant in the paint, get him a jumper that's actually doable. I don't think it's a need necessarily, but I think that's a great add-on because it did take a lot for them to get to the finals, and they're overmatched in my opinion, despite the performance last night. If the Bucks don't get any more help, and it's unlikely they will given the market, and free agents tend to not want to go there. They got Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, who are good but inconsistent. If he's got to play this one-man show stuff with his game, it's going to be a lot harder for him to do it without a significant jumper. That's just all I'm saying.
Potato.
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see Wednesday night, right? We're going to see what happens in Game 4, which Suns team is going to show up. And if Giannis continues this dominant trend, 3 consecutive games, maybe 40 points, who knows? So we'll see on Wednesday. I do want to cover something else that was really big news this weekend, and that's UFC match 264. All right, Colin McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. And I'm not a big UFC guy. I think we've all acknowledged on here that we aren't the biggest UFC heads, but we do have a UFC correspondent that we like to bring on from time to time to really give the people what they need and what they want, that expertise that we might lack. So I'm going to bring in my brother, Garrison.
Our brother?
Hey, I'm not talking about you. It's not about you right now. Gary, I'll let you settle in.
There it is.
Sir, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate being
Thanks
on here.
for coming on.
No problem at all.
You guys know how they say when someone sneezes, you can look into their soul. I feel like when someone's connecting to audio on Zoom, it's like the same thing. You get a different angle of them that you normally wouldn't get.
Did not think you were going there.
Notice this.
So, Gary, you already know what we're going to talk about. We have Colin McGregor, who is obviously a big entertainer, big smack talker.
Did you say Colin?
Are you saying Colin?
I'm sorry. I did say Colin. You know what's wild? It's because I wrote it down as that like several times already.
That's probably how
you're notorious for mispronouncing names, so this is nothing new.
It's okay.
That's probably 3 times in our 36, 37 episodes.
It probably sounds like Conor McGregor is saying Colin McGregor.
Yeah, I definitely wrote it down as that, so that's on me. But Colin Connor. But Gary, tell us, give us a little bit more information about what happened in this match, and obviously he went down with I think he broke his fibula and his tibia. Fibula and his tibia. But what did you see here before that injury?
Well, if I'm being honest, I saw Conor actually probably leaving UFC after that fight. I didn't see him winning that. Poirier was really giving it to him. Now, granted, I think in total strikes, Conor had like the advantage numbers wise.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't significant. Like the significant strikes, Poirier had him because he was hitting him hard, and to Conor's defense, they did throw a lot of blows in one round. The only thing is that I think Poirier was right. I think when he checked him earlier in the round, that's what actually probably cracked his where his foot, his tibia and his fibula. I think that's where the injury first happened because he was prepared. I don't think Conor was prepared. Honestly, at this point, when you're as successful as Conor was, when you make the money like that, I don't think it's really hard to stay as hungry as you usually would be prior to. And I know he wanted to be a part of it. I know he wanted to probably win this fight, but I didn't see him winning it. What I did see, though, is him getting another one, though. I think because he did hurt himself, and that was a TKO by doctors, like the doctors had to rule that. I think people would pay for it again.
Doctor stoppage.
And to Conor's defense, he is just about the greatest UFC entertainer, if not overall entertainer we've seen in sports. The man was talking mess on the floor, and it was it was funny.
His ankle was broken, and he's like, "Your wife is in me DMs." Like,
that's shouts out to Joe Rogan for at least having the continuity to sit down with him and allow him to do that, because that's a great moment in sports history, especially UFC history, where you have something like that. They have no love lost. Poirier hates that man, and I'm sure if he gets the opportunity, and I'm sure Poirier didn't want to win like that. I'm sure he really wanted to put the beats on him again and get his true stoppage.
I thought he really gave it to him that first round, then, and I did think that it wasn't going to go much longer. I thought this would have been maybe a knockout, and it was. I had a second round
TKO.
Almost got it,
but I think just because of how there's a market for Conor McGregor in UFC, because he treats it like how WWE is. He knows how to entertain and get people to watch his fights. So I could see him healing up, coming back in about a year and a half, maybe.
You made a very clear distinction that I did not miss. You did not call him the greatest fighter in UFC. You called him the greatest entertainer, which I think is very telling, because there's a lot of chatter I see on social media where people say he's probably one of the most overrated fighters in the UFC, where his mouth is the reason he gets the fights he does. He gets the press he does. But as far as a pure fighter, he's just not that guy. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. Like, Conor doesn't have a title defense. He's never defended his title. That's he crazy. Won, and he's won titles, but he's never defended one. There was a turning point in Conor's career where he was able to, I would say, I won't say he was relatively unknown, but there was a point where he was able to sell his fights so great. Like the lead up to it, the press conferences were entertaining because he's just talking crazy, and he backed it up for the most part. He wasn't losing those. Now, the one thing I will say is that when it comes to Conor McGregor, I don't think anyone who knows UFC is gonna call him a great. He's not top 10. He's not Anderson Silva. He's not anyone that these prominent. He's not John Jones. These prominent UFC fighters that we've had. He hasn't been them, but he's been able to stick around because he's going to give you a show. And if you think about it, UFC, right before Conor really got big, UFC, they bought UFC, Dana White and them, they bought it for, I can't remember the exact number, but it was a lot of money. And Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey at that point too, almost single-handedly gave them a huge boom in market. That's how Conor became the face. Everyone was wanting to see a Conor McGregor fight. Same maybe they want to see Ronda Rousey, but Conor's longevity was a little longer because he was still winning. He didn't get granted now, it hasn't been the same in a couple of years, but Ronda's personality didn't match what Conor's was. Conor could lose 2 fights in a row, get tapped out, and then he'll still talk the way that he was, and he would still have fans. He would still have people ready to say, no, this guy's the best. So
Conor McGregor fanboys are something else, though.
They are
all over social media.
Nah, Conor McGregor fanboys are the same as Logan Paul fanboys. Or they
Wait, that's a thing. Logan Paul has fanboys. I didn't think that. I thought he was just a really rich troll.
No, man, you don't get to where he is without having people support him. They're 14 and 15-year-old kids, but fanboys.
Fanboy. I get custom that. Jake Paul hoodies and stuff. It's a terrible thing.
I didn't know there was a market for that.
I think it stems from the YouTube.
It does.
Yeah, that would make sense.
100%.
I do want to cover the undercard, which was Tai Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy, former D-end. For the Carolina Panthers.
Couldn't ask you a better guy.
No.
I mean, well,
no, I'm not gonna give you that one, Dick. I think in sports we like redemption stories. I think Greg Hardy, this is unfortunate because he, from being as awful as he was in the NFL and kind of losing that job and being able to reinvent himself, and he's been on the up and up. I would say that, but this fight, he had no business losing. He had him on the ropes. He charged him unnecessarily. No one said unnecessarily, but not as much caution. And he got knocked out. And it.
Well, he rocked him, right? He rocked him and
put
he
him to
charged.
sleep.
Yeah, he knocked like. So he stumbled him. He went in to close the fight because heavyweight fights are, they're usually pretty all over the place sometimes. But he went to close it in on his back foot. He got knocked out cold, hit him with a left, and he was out. It was like 69 seconds.
Something real short.
Nice.
It was and he got knocked out, and it's gonna be tough for Greg Hardy to get some more fights when that's happened because it's not the first time he's had.
It's like a knockout, right?
He's had disqualifications. Yeah. It's unfortunate. But hopefully I do see him get another fight. I do believe that, even when athletes have these awful moments, and they do awful things, that they can get redemption. We've seen it happen with a lot of people. We shouldn't be selective about who we give redemption to for these for athletes in general, as long as they put in the work and they do the things that are needed to kind of redeem themselves. And he did, I believe. And it's just unfortunate that he got knocked out in the fashion.
I don't know about the work that he's put in for the redemption coming off a domestic violence case. I mean, as far as like transitioning from football to UFC, like, yes, he's professionally done some work to like build himself up again. I just didn't know what kind of work he was doing to come back from, again, that domestic violence case, which was expunged. I mean, he was convicted, was considered guilty, and then it was expunged from his record. But I didn't watch the fight, but I did get to see Tuivasa on top of the
celebration.
Is that something he always does, or is just like that was a random
shoe, right?
Yeah, he took a beer, poured it in a shoe, and drank it out the shoe. And I had so many questions. Like, why did that guy give him the shoe? I guess it's a big moment, but people put that shoe back on after that. It's a wet sock,
Man, I'm not gonna lie.
Like his feet probably stank.
Heavyweight fights sometimes have the best things you'll see in here. Best post-game interviews, the best celebrations, because man, he's a character. I didn't anticipate that at all. And if you notice, he's not UFC ready. He doesn't look. As a UFC, he doesn't look like. He
looks like he's been drinking more beer than out of a shoe.
That's why it hurts Hardy so much. He shouldn't have lost that fight
in the first
round. If he won it, it wouldn't have been like a huge oh my god, what a great win.
Mm-hmm.
But losing it is more like, come on, dude, this guy's not UFC ready. He came in here a mess, and he put you out cold. But he had dynamite in his hands. I'll tell you that though.
Yeah, that was a hard hit. And you know what? I'm kind of with Steph here. Like, listen, he did. I'm not going to deny that Greg Hardy put in the work to go from former defensive end in that National Football League to the UFC. But as far as him, he was convicted, found guilty. I just did a little research. I haven't found any work that he's done to get himself back.
Unfortunately, he initially found guilty, but they couldn't go through. All charges had to be dropped because they couldn't get the witness to testify.
Yes.
And then they leaked pictures of his ex-girlfriend's, I think, all of her injuries and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to say he's found guilty, which means he would be charged in a court of law. So just let's be accurate here. Yeah, he wasn't charged.
No, he was found guilty, and then it was expunged later because because of his records was later expunged, but he was found guilty.
Yeah. So
you do have that, but yeah, the celebration part to me was pretty wild, pretty interesting. Also seeing, like, because you pointed it out, when I saw him, his body type, I was like, wow, he's a big guy. That's what heavyweights look like. This is what they do. They just kind of eat and drink what they want and just go beat up on people. That could have been a bar fight.
That was like a drunk. I got drunk uncle vibes, really. I mean, that was like that was backyard barbecue right there.
Yeah, but I do believe that Tuivasa, that was his his consecutive win that he's gotten. First time in I think a couple years. So he's riding a wave. Is what it seems like, and from what you're telling me, Garrison's like, it's maybe it doesn't last, and Greg Hardy should have been the stopper for him, but not there yet, and
13-3,
13-3,
7-4,
7-4. But Greg Hardy only has, I think he has 3. He doesn't have that many UFC fights. In there, like a lot of those records come prior to when they get into UFC. So I think he lost his last 3.
Copy. Well, As always, thank you for coming on and giving us the UFC knowledge.
Our resident UFC rep.
Yes, he is. All right, can't do it without you.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. Thank you.
Yes, take care, man.
All right,
Enjoy
buddy.
your week.
Let it go.
All right. And as we transition from our UFC talk to the strong suit for us, which is our baseball talk. All right, I want to talk about the Yankees and Mets, which we typically do, but talking about them finishing out, the first half, because it's been more of a limp to the All-Star break than it has been like a sprint. The Yankees are 5-4 in July, where they're 3 games over 500 now, 8 games back, and the Mets were 6-5 in July. So it's not like they were doing a lot. They were losing games, not really closing out series. But I do want to start with the Yankees because this was their weekend. Whenever the Yankees are going up against Houston, it's big talk for Yankee fans, and for Houston fans, it's like, I guess
That's not even accurate at all. But please
I feel like Houston fans to me are past it, whereas Yankee fans are holding on to it a lot longer. Because you even saw it with Aaron Judge, right? Hits a home run as he's rounding third, pretends to cover up his jersey. Like nothing before that point was any Astro player trying to bring something from the past up. But here it is. This
Why
Yankee player.
It was so subtle. I didn't even respect it. If you're gonna troll, go all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Aaron Judge is necessarily afraid of like trolling.
I mean, he tried something. It just wasn't it.
Yeah, he tried something, and that was the only run of the game. I mean,
that's irrelevant to the part of trolling, though. Like,
right.
if you're gonna do that,
it was weak.
Do it. He half-assed it.
It was weak. It's all right, and then Altuve walks off, and then they rip his jersey off. It's
nice
like
to see he's not wearing a wire this time.
Yeah, well, I mean that was all part of it, right? It was a response to it, but Deck, I'll kick it to you. I already know how you feel about your Yankees going into this, but you are 3 games over 500 now, and 8 games back. How are you feeling going into this break, and what are you looking for them to do coming out of it?
So I would have been feeling a lot better if they close a window yesterday in the 9th inning, but for some reason, Domingo Germán's in the game, which I guess the worst manager in baseball. We'll have to talk about that after the fact. I don't know why that's the case. You're coming off a friggin' game when Garrett Cole pitches like, really the best game of the weekend. Going off, shutting up the spider tack narrative, and going out and beating the best team in the American League and shutting them out with only 1 run. The only run in that game was Aaron Judge's bomb to the train tracks. So there's that.
I see we're holding on to that.
Yes, I'm going to continue to hold on to it.
There's not much to hold on to, so you need it.
Well, I wouldn't say so. Let's not forget who won the series. But
yeah, they did 2-3.
Devastating.
Right?
Oh, but it feels like, you know what? And this is what I think bothers me the most is that they led the entirety of the series, 26 innings. And how in God's earth and God's name do you lose to – I don't care about losing to the Astros because they're a better team by far. But how do you give up 6 runs in the 9th inning and you let Altuve beat you? What pisses me off the most is you're going into 5 runs in the 9th. I would have put Chapman in for confidence. And I was saying this when they were up 6-2 in the 7th inning.
Yeah.
I would have put Chapman in for some confidence. Granted, he's been bad, but if you blow a 5-run lead, then you don't deserve to be on the baseball field. Point blank, period. Especially when you're one of the best closers in baseball. And you would have been up 5 games over 500 heading into the All-Star break. Huge morale boost. Sweep the Astros, who obviously did you and the league dirty in the playoffs, which is just the reality of the situation.
Yo, let that go, bro. Oh my God.
You can
Stop.
let it go.
No, because everyone was cheating. Jesus Christ. I'm so sick of hearing it.
So why did the Astros?
Oh my God.
Wait, no, I'm just saying, why did the Astros get caught?
Things happen. There was a whistleblower because if I forgot who the pitcher was, if he doesn't say anything, you don't even know about this.
Is it Fires? Right?
Yeah, we nobody knows about this.
Yeah.
He was bitter and he blew the whistle.
Fires
like
blew the whistle.
let it go.
That could happen to any team.
Your teammate in the comment, Justin Ruiz, says never let it go. So for that,
I would not be surprised. That doesn't surprise me coming from him.
Good for him. Good for him. Good. Whatever.
First time he decided.
You know what's ridiculous? You could say let it go, but clearly the players didn't let it go because there was tension that whole series.
And the Yankees need to shut up because they also cheated.
Okay. Not why why did Joe Girardi and Aaron Boone have jobs?
Hello, we
Why is Brian
how many
Cashman
times are we gonna explain? Steph, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna say, like, them having jobs doesn't mean anything. These are sanctions that came down from the MLB, right? They had to make an example of a team, and because of fires and the whistle blowing, they were the biggest team to make an example of. So the Yankees aren't gonna have fire Joe Girardi or remove Aaron Boone. That wouldn't happen. All right, this is not how it plays out. Just because you're looking at the sanctions and saying, "Oh, well, the Yankees are gonna get the same sanctions," does not mean that they didn't cheat or that they weren't trying to get an advantage.
Not on that level. They didn't. They didn't know what
Stop.
It's cheating.
Stop.
We did this before.
They didn't face a pitcher in the playoffs who threw 55 curveballs and didn't swing at one of them. And it's Clayton Kershaw, who's got one of the best curveballs in the last 10 years since Wainwright. So why don't we put that out on the line?
Well, yeah, and did the Astros not win on the road in the playoffs? Like, cut it out.
No,
cut
they
it
didn't.
out.
No,
Cut
they
it
didn't.
out.
They lost all 3 games in the ALCS at Yankee Stadium.
I said in the playoffs because you just mentioned
just
Clayton Kershaw. You mentioned Clayton Kershaw, and the Astros went in to Dodger Stadium and won games. So stop it. There's holes all over your argument. There are holes. What do you mean that game 7? They won game 7 on the road.
That is
stop
the game.
it. Like, let it go, bro.
You know who else
this
won game 7 on the road?
At this point.
No. You know who else won game 7 on the road? The Washington Nationals in 2019. So, I mean,
what does that have to do?
Happens.
But my point is,
it's the most tough.
No. You keep holding on to this.
It's a do or die game. So
if the Astros are the only team that has cheated in baseball, when it has been proven to you over and over that there are several teams that have cheated in various different ways, including
not on the level the Astros did.
Stop talking about levels. They cheated. They used an advantage to get by.
If levels didn't matter, then why did the whole
go, bro?
No,
let it go.
Let it go. If levels didn't matter, then why did the whole Astros organization get blown up?
Did you not listen to Stefan just now?
I just explained that they made an example of them. They could not go throughout the entire
league. I'm so
league
sick of hearing about this
and do that to every team.
No, it's the baseball world. Get your head out of your ass. Jesus Christ.
All right. We had our fun. All right, we had our fun.
We did have our fun.
It's nice that the lightning rod for there's been quite a few, but this one in particular is Houston and the Yankees. Like, it back and forth with the Astros Yankees. End of the day, end of the day, the Astros are made an example of. They're not going to go through every team and fire and say that these people have to be fired and these players aren't going to be sanctioned or whatever it might be. The coaches, front office. So it was the Astros that got the gauntlet, and we all know that. We know other teams. Everyone that follows baseball knows that other teams cheated and found ways to get their own advantages. All right. What I did want to go back to, what you did mention, Deck, was Garrett Cole. And yes, he did have his best start since the crackdown on Spider Tack, which I'm happy for because it's good for Garrett Cole. But to me, it's not like he's proven everyone that he could do without substances. I would need more of a sample size for that, because ultimately it could be a different substance. But and if we're being serious and if we're looking at what Garrett Cole was before the Spider Tack, which is in Pittsburgh, what his numbers that he's done before this start were very similar to what he was like before Houston. And he's not a bad pitcher. You know what I mean? And I forgot the quote that was out there that Garrett Cole, is saying that, look at my numbers.
Yeah, I got a few right now. It's he said, hold on. He said, look at my career track record and look at my numbers. Thank you. That's what he said.
Yeah, and honestly, before he goes to Houston, he's not a bad pitcher. He's a 2, maybe a 3 in any organization because of the stuff he has, but he wasn't the dominant force in front end, number like ace of the staff that he became for Houston.
He wasn't consistent. Like, he had moments.
Yes.
He was drafted first overall, right?
Yeah, I want to say so.
I think so, because I know he was drafted by the Yankees. He went back to UCLA, but then he was drafted first overall by the Pirates. He had these moments. I want to say he had 2 good years in Pittsburgh, and then he had a bad year in Pittsburgh. Went to Houston. Obviously, spin rate was increased. Wonder why. I mean, that's the reality. But still a great pitcher nonetheless. I don't care about the spin rate. I mean, I understand. Listen.
It has an effect. We clearly know that.
Of course it does. But I forget the numbers. He was 18-0 with like a 0.99 ERA and like through 20 starts at the end of 2019. So that's pretty impressive no matter what you're using. Because if that was the case, then why wasn't anybody else doing it? I mean, besides DeGrom, which I don't think he wasn't. At the end of 2019, he didn't have that stretch.
No. Despite
how great he was. So I just think this idea that Garrett Cole's, a product of sticky substance, I think
Yes.
I wouldn't go that
Yes.
far yet. If he's bad
Yet?
the rest of the year, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's not about being bad. He doesn't have to be bad. It's how great he was. He's the highest paid pitcher in baseball, not because he was a pitcher he was in Pittsburgh. It's because the pitcher he became in Houston when he started using Spider Tack. It gave him an advantage, a huge advantage. It increased his RPM on his pitches by 300. Like that makes a difference. He was dynamic, and I'm not saying he's going to be a bad pitcher. Yeah, and I'm not saying, and I don't think anyone that with eyes is saying he's going to be a bad pitcher. He could be a good pitcher. He could be a really good pitcher. He's not going to be as electric as he was, right? And we've seen that in these games where he needs to dominate and he doesn't because he doesn't have it.
Shout out to our boy AK Andrew Connor in the comments said, his spin rate is still down.
Yeah,
even with him being better. And I don't think it was more so the lack of substance there. I think that was just grit. There was a personal vendetta to go into Houston and win that game and not give the ball up. And if you've pitched on any level and you have a rival, you know what it's like to get up and do that. That's what you're going to do.
I mean, he was a man amongst boys. He was really good. And I totally agree with you, Greg, in that regard. Like that's definitely grit. But I think right now, right, and I know Garrett Cole's an all-star, and his ERA is 2.5. Like he's had a very good season. Like like he's still in the Cy Young race in the American League, and I know it's tough to look at it that way considering past 6 starts were bad, but he's still in that race. He's at the top.
They weren't bad starts. They just weren't like Garrett Cole starts you expect, right? He gave him more hits, more runs,
8 innings,
down on like strikeouts. Yeah,
8 innings, 4 Ks is tough. He had to start like that against Toronto.
Yeah.
But when you see 9 innings, 130 pitches, 3 hits, 2 walks, and 12 Ks. Then you look, all right, the Dom's back. I know the spin rate's down. Like I think it's like 125. There it is, Andrew Kahn in the comments. 125 on the slider, 135 on the fastball, and 225 on curve. That's big. No, that's definitely big. And make no bones about it, there's significance here. And he was clearly using Spider Tack. But if he can really have a nice second half, and I think there's kind of for different reasons, but for the financial similarities. I think that Lindor and Cole are in the same boat for the second half. They need to prove it to the New York market, the baseball world, I guess. They need to both get back on the horse and have strong second halves after struggling in different ways in the first half, per se. And I think
give you that.
It'll be good to pay attention to, at least from the New York baseball side of things. It'll be good to pay attention to that moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. One thing I want to add for the Mets, because we did cover a lot of Yankees here, is Carlos Carrasco did throw about 30 plus pitches to some Met hitters this past week, which is really nice to see. And apparently Rojas said the pitches look good. Breaking stuff was good. The fastball life was good. The location was good. And apparently he backpedaled off the mound to catch a pop-up. I don't know if he caught it. He might have dropped it, but he tried to make a play on a ball.
Why would he do that?
For fans out there that aren't baseball savvy, backpedaling off the mound is a big deal after the injury because the back of the mound goes downhill. So that means you have to have the coordination to actually get off the mound and stay on your feet.
Yeah, so
tough.
It is tough, but also just the fact that he made a play on a ball or tried to make a play on a ball. This is a guy that we haven't seen yet in a Mets jersey, but that's huge help for the Mets in a rotation that they're struggling. I mean, with injury, they need another reliable arm, and he hasn't pitched in quite a while now. I mean, it's the end of the 2020 season or middle of the 2020 season, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. No, I think he was in the playoffs. The Yankees faced him in 2020.
Was he in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you want to talk about the kind of guy Carlos Carrasco is, Cookie. I mean, this is the guy who had leukemia and was pitching when players were taken off because of COVID protocols, when COVID was still a very real thing, and he went out and pitched his ass off, really, in the regular season and the postseason. I mean, he's a tough guy. So I think Mets fans, be patient, but I think it's going to pay off, and the city's going to fall in love with him. I mean, he's a very likable guy, hell of a pitcher, got great stuff, great attitude. I respect him big time.
Ultimately, it's going to be results. That's what it always comes down to, and he's going to have the results, and we do need to be patient because he hasn't pitched in a while. So we'll see what he does when he comes back. Hopefully, that's a nice shot to the arm for the Mets in the second half.
Mets blew a big game yesterday to a AAA team. I can't believe it.
That's disrespectful.
That is so accurate.
They did catch an L, but
that is so accurate, though. The Pirates.
No. The Pirates have good hitting. Pirates have
Brian Reynolds.
And they got some good young talent. Their pitching is what's the suspect thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
they need Quinn Priester. I don't know when he's coming up, but or if he's up yet, but the ceiling's high on that kid. He can be good. But
they do draft well. They do draft well. Go ahead, Steph. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I mean you're talking about drafting. I was going to talk about this MLB draft that just happened.
Segue. Look at this.
Perfect segue. I mean, some might not know because it was snuck in. Really, the MLB draft was like 1 p.m. when everything else is going on. We'll have an MLB draft. It's great. Nobody cares, right? Clearly they don't. People didn't know, but the MLB draft happened yesterday, and you did see some highlights. So Greg is our resident college baseball aficionado, right? So whenever we hear names, it's usually from this guy. And one name that I know that came up, second pick overall, was Jack Leiter. All right, obviously, Al Leiter's son. So he went to
Mark Leiter's nephew.
Well, there you go.
And I want to say J.P. Leiter, Mark Leiter Jr.'s cousin. I don't know.
But yeah, so he went second overall to the Rangers. First overall pick was the Pirates, and they ended up with a catcher in Henry Davis. But Greg, I want you to kind of speak to some of the other standouts you saw in this, like the top 10 that went. Obviously, the Mets got Kumar Rocker, another Vandy product at number 10. But give us a little breakdown and explain to the folks.
I just want to, before I even get into the draft, I want to shout out the Vandy pitching coach because we said it months ago that they might have two guys going to top 10, and that's exactly what happened. And I don't think that could be lost. And funny enough, the guy the shortstop, Marcelo Meyer, who went 4th overall to Boston, was also a Vandy recruit.
East Lake High School.
Yeah.
I got drafted.
But I just want to say Henry Davis is an absolute stud. Pittsburgh really got a good one there. We're gonna hear his name in a few years down the road. He's a little big for a catcher. He kind of reminds me of Matt Wieters in terms of like height wise. He hasn't quite filled into his body, but kid rakes, man. He played in Louisville, has a cannon for an arm. They say he has some receiving to work on.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, receiving wise, because as you know, a lot of catchers in MLB going to the one leg and things like that, trying to come underneath the ball a little better. So there's definitely something to work on there. But athletically, this kid got the goods.
All the tools.
Yeah. I also think Jack Leiter is a pitcher that can be the Rangers aren't really going anywhere. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jack Leiter in September getting some innings.
Wow. You really think that's some crotch?
That's really fast, man.
I mean, if we go back and we look at a guy from Arizona State that went to the Reds, I'm drawing a blank.
Oh my gosh, I know
Hunter Green.
No, not Hunter Green.
No, it's not Hunter Green.
He didn't.
He was mediocre. I feel like for most of his career, but he
didn't
play the minors.
Mike Leake.
Yes, Mike Leake.
Mike Leake came straight to the big leagues and had major league ready stuff, and he was a mediocre pitcher. Yeah. Jack Leiter is 5 times the pitcher Mike Leake ever was in college. So again, it would not surprise me if that happened. But if they didn't bring him up, I could also see that. I'm just saying the Rangers aren't going anywhere. Wouldn't surprise me. I was saying. And shout out to Andrew Kahn again, because we had a good conversation back and forth. And why Kumar Rocker, who was potentially a top 5 pick, fell or even top 7, fell to 10 at the Mets, which, oh my God, I'm so thankful. Oh man. Yeah. What team, for those of you that don't know how the MLB draft work, teams are allotted a certain amount of dollars for their pick. So like say, throwing numbers out there. Say the Orioles at 5 are allotted $8 million for their number 1 pick at 5. Then they draft a guy who kind of falls out the scope of that top 5. They don't have to pay him that $8 million. They can underslot him and then draft someone else and pay that person more. And that's exactly what the Kansas City Royals did. And Andrew, had some good tidbits of information. Let us know that the Royals were the ones who were talking about Rocker the most, had the most scouts at his games. Yet they drafted a guy who was a top 40 player at number 7, a lefty. Where's Lee?
Frank Mazzucato?
Frank Mazzucato. And then I forgot who they took in the second round. It just happened while we were on air. He shouted it out. But they overpaid for the second round pick and underslotted Mazzucato at 7, which allowed Rocker to fall to 10. and you had the Angels take a guy who probably projects to be a reliever. Yeah, he throws 97, 98, could get up to 101 fastball slider combo. But this is a guy who had to take time off in the spring for a tired arm in Sam Bachman out of Miami University of Ohio.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a weird selection for me. Not saying he can't be good, but when Rocker is sitting there for you and your organization has struggled for starting pitching, it was quite baffling. But nonetheless, I would like to thank the Royals, the Orioles, and all these 5 to 9 teams who passed on Rocker. And I would love to see the Mets take a approach like the Rays and the Cardinals did with David Price and Wainwright, and maybe have Kumar Rocker in September in a back-end playoff push, pitching 7th and 8th innings.
All about these young guys coming in. And
absolutely. Well, that's because to me, Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter, Gavin Williams, and maybe Will Bednar are probably the most pro-ready pitchers now. Doesn't mean they're gonna get up and dominate, but I'm just talking about physically, stuff-wise mentality.
How old is Jack Leiter? Is he 21?
I think he's either 21 or 22.
Now this is my belief. I wouldn't necessarily rush him or Rocker in so far. I especially wouldn't put them in the bullpen if I know they're going to be starters for me down the line.
Hold on.
What I think I'll do is
no, go finish.
Oh, I was just going to say what I think they should do. I would like to see Leiter and Rocker be brought up kind of in, maybe early May, from that May to June spot. I think to pitch the warm weather innings. I mean, obviously I know Texas, but I just think to give them a year or a little under a year in the minors would be beneficial for them. They're both coming out of college, so it's not like they're high school kids, but I agree.
Andrew Kahn, who looks like
lighting up the comments.
Yeah,
really.
he is. He's like how Garrison is for UFC. He's more in tune with this than I am. He said Leiter's being shut down.
And Rocker.
And Rocker.
Yeah. I get it because they threw a lot of pitches, in College World Series, so I get it. I did say, Andrew, I don't know if you could inform us, is Rocker going straight to Brooklyn or not? Because I would love to catch a game. I think that would be so dope if we could catch a Rocker game.
Personally, you would like.
Yeah, personally.
Gotta go down there and see Rocker pitch. I did want to bring this up because I remember reading a little bit about Rocker, and there was just questions about his secondary stuff, at least throwing them for strikes, being more consistent. Because I believe it's the curveball, the hammer, like that's a great pitch and it's devastating, but the changeup not so much.
Yeah, right? his changeup definitely needs work.
Something he has to work on, and he has those mid 90s to high 90s fastball, and he can dominate with the fastball. But I think it was more a question of the secondary pitches and if he can dominate against major league hitting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was the question mark. So it wasn't like there weren't any question marks around Rocker, but still the deal for the Royals to take a high schooler, for a pitcher that you wanted over like Rocker, who is more polished, just going against better competition is a little bit curious, even if you had those question marks around it. But, you spoke to the slot money, which that to me was just like a lot and very confusing.
I mean, that's what it's
it is. A dynamic that just seems like unnecessary to draft him.
I think Kumar Rocker is pretty happy though. I mean,
gotta be right.
Kansas City or even Baltimore.
The slotting is an added dynamic, but it kind of speaks to the fact that most fans don't even know it was a major league draft, and just the lack of marketing in the MLB front office is so problematic and so frustrating, because here there's so much talent in this draft, and you have guys in the comments that don't even know about it. Like even the Yankees shortstop they drafted out of
Trey Sweeney.
Trey Sweeney out of East Illinois State University or something like that. AK, we might have to get AK on a segment about college baseball.
I mean, the two of you guys, dynamic duo, college baseball, I think it'd be great.
Yeah. So shout out to him. So Sweeney hit really well in college, but apparently he struggled against upper echelon pitching on the travel ball circuit. So that could be something to look out for. We got to see if he could turn around a good fastball in the minor leagues. That's definitely something. I did not see the Yankees going shortstop, but I could also see why they did. Because
second time in the last 3 years. I mean, I don't want to say I don't put too much stock into it, but I don't put too much stock into them taking the same position 2 out of 3 years, because you could always move a guy to third.
That's true. That's true.
Even the outfield.
It happens all the time.
Oh man, once again, Andrew coming with the zingers. Right as I was about to go back to this, after the College World Series, how are you not promoting your draft? All your top tier talent is out there on display every night for the on ESPN for the world to see. And not once did I see social media promos from the MLB marketing team. Like, why is there not a combine for pro prospects? You see it in NBA, you see it in NFL, and it's a big draw to knowing who's up next. You're telling me, and we've all, I know me and Steph have, I don't know if Declan you've ever experienced one, but a major league workout where they set up the 60, they have the scouts with the radar guns, pitchers on the side, outfielders in the outfield taking shags. You could literally have a cameraman at each spot, and you could take clips of your best prospects. The Jackson Jobe, who went 3rd overall to Detroit, who's 18, throws 96. You don't think fans would want to see him throwing a bullpen session with that electric fastball, or even a Colton Cowser who flies, running his 60-yard dash? Like, if he runs a 6'4", 60, that's a big deal. Or even anything under 6'5". Like, why do we not know these things? Why is the MLB so stuck in their ways that they cannot think outside of the box? As far as I'm concerned, the Sports Hit List team is a better marketing tool for the MLB and their upcoming stars than the MLB themselves.
Clip it.
Not inaccurate. But I think, oh, by the way, you know what? I just found this out the other day because Ryan Rucco said it on, or yesterday. Tim LaCastro. Do you guys know he went to Ithaca? He went Division III upstate. I never even.
I knew it was a small school, but I couldn't remember where it was. I struggled with that.
Lie. I mean, I think he's got like the second fastest time down from home to first base.
Yeah, we could even do that, like home to first times, round the bases times. Like, why are we not putting the product of the sport on display? Because fans think the game is just pitch and hit when there's so much more to it. And you can bring fans in, new fans in, casual fans in, by just simple clips of the excitement of a pro workout.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great suggestion. It's something I haven't seen out there, and who knows? There might be people listening to Smoke and Mirrors right now that's like, maybe we should consider it. Let's start working on that. So I think it's a great idea. It's something that baseball does need. There's not enough eyeballs on, the College World Series, just like college athletes as they're coming up in baseball. And they're doing a disservice to the league, right? Because shout out to Andrew Kahn for being our phantom guest, pretty much.
I know, right? I know. We got AK. We got to have you on next time we talk college baseball.
Yeah, because it speaks to just baseball not doing enough for the product, for the brand that's out there. There's no reason why the draft is going on while all these other games are happening, at 1 p.m. on a Sunday. It makes no sense.
So Kahn did say that there was an MLB combine June 20th to 26th in North Carolina. But my problem is,
who covered that? FS2?
Yeah, I don't know about it. Like,
yeah,
you unless you're in the know, like AK seems to be. All right. The average fan doesn't know that. Like, where was the promotion for this? We see the T-Mobile Tuesdays, the home run derby. That's everywhere. Why can't we see, like you said, there were the 4 pitchers in the World Series that were projected to go in the first round? That's a big deal.
They could have made that marquee. Like, you can't tell me that that one day. I mean, we've seen this thing they used to do a couple years ago. I don't know if they still do it since COVID, but it would be like the Under Armour, like college baseball players of America or something. They play at like Wrigley Field in July, around the time, I think around this time of year. Maybe AK knows something about that, but I just like MLB Network wouldn't cover something for 3 hours on a Sunday evening. Like,
it's frustrating. I mean, we're gonna move on. There's just so much talent out there that should be exposed to the masses that nobody even knows about,
including scouts.
Clearly true. But yeah, so we do need to move on. We're going to wrap up. I want to cover something that we spoke about weeks ago. We talked about the Euro Cup 2020 at the very beginning. And Italy had like a really big game. Their first match was massive, and all Italians were like really excited. Well, it ended up coming down
every Italian was
every Italian was excited. They were off the wall. All right, because they're coming off of a huge defeat or not making the World Cup was 4 years ago, but you had the finals between England and Italy, and congratulations to Italy. They won the 2020 Euro Cup title in a dramatic penalty, PK shootout, 3-2. But since that shootout, you've had a lot of fans, a lot of England fans taking to social media to express their frustration, anger, and, just vitriol, like just hateful and racist remarks regarding 3 young Black players that missed their penalty kicks who were subbed in. All right. They were subbed in. They didn't play the whole match. They subbed in, and they took a lot of heat, and the England fans have just it's been disgusting display, honestly. And this isn't something that's new to sports at all. We see this time and time again, but they are now becoming the scapegoats for a whole country. And I want to bring in one of our sports hit list contributors, huge in the soccer chat, the football chat. Let me say that. Let me get it right.
Football,
that's
as he would, football, as he would correct you.
Football, yes. You know what? He's gonna correct me when he comes in here, but that's gonna be Rick Etienne. Rick, come on in and share with us, some insight on this.
Look at this guy, straight from Florida.
Rick, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. What's going on, fellas? Glad to be here for the first time, yo.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for making your debut.
Nah, I appreciate it. I mean, I wish I knew. If all I had to do was talk bad about the Derby, to get an invite, I would have been done that, man.
You did it 6 months ago.
Right? Yeah.
Man, you look ready to party back there. See that?
Always ready to party.
Always. Y'all want some? Pour up, man. What up?
I swear, every day Rick's on a live. It's always like it's Sunday at 1. Look at this guy. Oh, you.
I love it.
I'm trying to get us sponsors, man. I figured somebody would be like, hey.
But yeah, I just want to, because we didn't really watch the match. I read about it, saw some highlights. I know that Italy scored in the first 2 minutes of the match, and it was 1-1, right? That's how it ended up going to penalty kicks.
Yeah.
So clearly it didn't fall on just 3 players to make this win happen. So what is it that you saw throughout the match, and just kind of speak to, I guess, some of the history, when it comes to these, because when we play here in the States, it's like, it's national, right? It's state to state, but this is a whole country now that is pouring in on these 3 young Black players.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. England jumped out to an early lead, and that's one of the things I mentioned, in the pregame yesterday. Is like, I felt that's kind of like the way it was going to go. We'd see an early goal, we'd see a late equalizer. Yes. We'd go to penalties. Both teams have amazing defenses. Both teams have rock solid goaltenders. So, the game kind of flowed how I expected it. I just kind of flipped it a little bit. I thought Italy would jump out first, Yeah. So, Shaw made a huge defensive stop on one end right out the gate, and then an amazing run down to the other side, and was rewarded with that goal, and after that, Italy seemed a little shell-shocked, kind of like they got punched in the mouth. They were stunned a little bit, a little lackadaisical. Not much intensity. They looked tired, which was kind of crazy considering they did have the extra day of rest compared to England and whatnot. They went into halftime. They made some good adjustments. I mentioned giving Southgate a lot of credit, England's coach, a lot of credit for always trashing his decisions, but then they always ended up panning out. Yesterday wasn't the case. He seemed to get very defensive after taking a 1-0 lead. They didn't push forward as much going the rest of the way. They kind of seemed, to be reliant on having that 1-goal lead, and it bit them. They were Italy was able to come back and equalize, and then we get down to extra time and then the PKs. And you mentioned it coming in. You get these 3 guys getting subbed in really, really late in the game. PKs, when it comes to PKs, man, rhythm is key. So to have these kids coming in, 90th minute later, even I can't remember exactly when the 3 of them got subbed in. I know Saka and Sancho specifically got something very late,
Yes.
Sorry, Rashford and Saka, so as if it was specifically for the PKs, so you get them in there. I think my biggest issue, putting Saka at the end, man, in the 5 spot, 19-year-old kid, taking a professional.
That's his first national tournament, right?
Yeah, his first go round, and he's had a great tournament for a 19-year-old kid. He had a really good tournament. I became a huge fan of his throughout the tournament, what I mean? So to put him in that spot, in the 5 spot, there with all of that pressure wasn't right. Even if he stepped up and said, "Hey, coach, I want it," you know what I mean? You got, even if you're going to give him a shot at the PK, put the lineup a little different, kind of help him out a bit. Don't put all that pressure on him, But from the racial aspect, man, it sucks. We knew it immediately. At the end of the match, that's what we were talking about in the chat immediately. We knew that's what was going to happen. You run down the list 1 through 5. You got the 2 white guys first. They both make their kicks, Then you got the 3 non-white guys go, and they both and all 3 miss. You already know what that was setting up to be, and it's just unfortunate and disgusting, man.
I have a question. Is it because I heard something that conflicted? Do the players pick the lineup for the PKs, or is that the coach?
It's a little bit of both. You know what I mean? Obviously, once that clock is ticking, you know what I mean? Generally, your captain's going to be out there. Your best guys are going to be out there front and center like, yeah, I want it, Players will kind of step up and say, me, coach. But then obviously the coach has to make the final decision.
Got you.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day. But to that point, there's some guys that, Grealish, Raheem Sterling, for example, 2 guys that are, mainstays for that club that, didn't get PKs, which is kind of questioning as well too, especially since, Jordan Sancho and Marcus Rashford didn't play much the entire tournament. You know what I mean? Southgate kind of shitted on them throughout the whole run, Sancho specifically, so here are these guys that you weren't giving the run that they really deserved throughout the tournament, but here in the biggest spot, you're throwing them out there and putting it all on them. It was really, really awkward, his decision making down the stretch there.
I didn't even think as a whole, like those kicks, right? Like the first kick, I thought the guy should have made because he fooled the goalie, deked him, and then he went off the crossbar. But the other 2 were great saves.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really good plays. So to fault them on that, like I get it if you want to go for the first kick should have been made. I don't know why you got to bring race into it because that has nothing to do with why he missed the kick or just.
Has that ever stopped racist?
Yeah,
I wish it did.
Never does. Never does. They need to blame someone, and like I said, it was the scapegoating, right? These three kids who came in, and again, subbed in. It falls on them as to why England didn't win, which is just, it's ridiculous. And the England's Football Association came out and condemned the remarks, as they should, but like this is like, it's always this tale, right? We see this very often, even in international sports, and football is huge around the world.
Yeah,
it is huge, and time again in the stadiums, and in this case now social media, Black players and non-white players, I should say, are being attacked. And it's I said it before, it's disgusting. It's something that we see all too often, and in this social climate we're in now, I feel like there's more there are associations that feel more accountable to call out and say for what it is, but it just can't be. I'm so sick and tired of it. It's
the irony of the situation is the 2 teams we had in the finals yesterday, they're notoriously the 2 nations where it's the worst. When it comes to international football, generally it is Italy and England that we're talking about when it comes to the racism. We were talking about it in the chat earlier.
I remember Mario Balotelli. He used to get bananas thrown on the field.
Right? And this is an all-time great, an all-time amazing legend for the sport within that country. And that man gets the most ridiculous amount of abuse ever from his own countrymen. You know what I mean? A country that he's represented, to the best of his ability for his entire career, and he's still shitted on no matter what, just because the color of his skin. And it's horrible because again, I knew, like, watching, as soon as I saw Saka miss that goal, man, immediately I felt heartbroken because I knew exactly what was coming his way and the others as well. But him being that last guy, he's gonna get it the worst. Of
course,
I think he knew it too because he was struggling. He was in tears.
Yep. And he's a kid, 19 years old. Like I said, man, he's great tournament.
Can't even process life like that.
Yeah, amazing.
They're all pretty young, though.
Arsenal, getting better, So I just hope and pray that doesn't ruin his confidence going forward, because that kid can be special, man.
Hopefully he bounces back. it's what you want to see, because Rashford, he's 23, Sancho is 21. They're all young, all talented, and then something like this could be very devastating to any player, career, as far as having the confidence to go back out there and perform. But shout out to them.
And another note on that, talking about their age and whatnot, same thing with Rashford. I think Rashford's 25, if I'm not mistaken. So these kids are the future of the sport within that country, not just representing the country itself, but they're all playing in the English Premier League. They're all playing club soccer within that country as well. So this is who's representing the sport for you as a nation. So if you can't get behind them, what are we doing?
Yeah,
very true.
So now we have Euro Cup just ended. Messi finally won Copa America.
Word.
So Manny, you happy? Okay, that's enough of that. And now we have the real cup that matters, the Gold Cup.
Well, us at least,
CONCACAF.
Who finally bring it stateside.
Yeah. And so for those of you that don't know, CONCACAF is all the soccer, the nations within the Americas. And Latin America. So you have
and Qatar for some reason.
That I still,
wherever that came from.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Doesn't even make sense.
I don't even try to understand it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like seeing the Cowboys in the NFC East.
But in the Gold Cup, we had one real notable matchup so far, and that was Trinidad.
Yeah.
Hey, go Soca Warriors.
Yeah.
And versus Mexico. What are your thoughts on that match?
I mean, like the definition of parking the bus for TNT, bro. Like, I mean, I think did they start seven or eight defenders, if I'm not mistaken?
Well, they claim they started a 4 or 5 but whatever they claim they started, that wasn't it.
Nah, hey, look, they had a really good strategy going out. When you look at their group, I think their match, obviously Mexico, I think it's El Salvador and Guatemala, maybe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's Guatemala.
So, great strategy. You go out, look, when it comes to football, a tie is almost as good as a win sometimes. So to be able to go in and split points with the, most would say the prohibitive favorite in the entire
tournament.
Did
they win the last one?
Yeah, coming in defending champs, you know what I mean? So to be able to go in there and split points right out the gate in the first match, that sets you up for success going through the rest of the group stage, So now, if you just get one more victory, maybe one more tie or 2 victories, here you go, going through the knockout stage. So really, really good strategy to go in there and be as defensive as possible. Phillips, I believe, is the goalie.
Yeah, he did a great job. He was phenomenal.
Man.
I just want to shout out Angus Eve, the coach of Trinidad, for that strategy, because there were times where I was watching a match and there were maybe 8-9 Trinis in the box.
Yeah, that's it, man.
It was just like, we don't care about our offense. We just don't want them to score. Yeah. And to put that in perspective, Mexico is the 11th ranked team in the world. Trinidad is 112th. So for them to come out with a draw and take a point away,
that's a great result.
Listen. If there wasn't COVID protocols in Trinidad, there would be Big Fet all over the place.
I'm sure that still was.
Yeah, right.
Still was in pockets,
breaking
that's a big win. And you shout out to your Orlando football club. They're hosting the Reggae Boys from Jamaica against Suriname. What's your take on that?
I mean, that's gonna be a fun group right there too. I mean, it'll be a great matchup right out the gate. We expect the Reggae Boys to show out for sure. They got Costa Rica in that group as well.
That's a tough one.
So that's the thing. They actually match up in the final stages of the group stage there too. So that's going to be a great match. I was telling you earlier, I was thinking about possibly checking out the matches today. It's pouring down rain right now. I'm looking at it.
Florida.
It's Florida. Yeah. So I'm not sure if we'll make it out there yet, but definitely I'm looking forward to the, more than likely going out to the Jamaica and Costa Rica match in that group stage, because ideally we would imagine that'll, definitely decide who wins that group.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably
100%.
be the 1-2, you know what I mean? So Yeah, very excited about the Gold Cup this year, man. I think a lot of the Caribbean nations, man, they're really coming up. They're catching up a little bit.
Yo, you literally, that's where I was going with it, bro.
Yeah. For the longest time, it's like, we were overlooked. Even Haiti yesterday, came out and played a really, really good game against the US.
You're in my head, bro. Get out my head. I was just gonna say, shout out to your Haitian national team, because even though they lost, it was a valiant effort against probably one of the better U.S. men's national teams in some time.
Absolutely. This is our golden generation.
Yeah, to only lose 1-0, that they like to say there's no moral victories, but given the state of soccer, football in the Caribbean, that is a victory that's needed, and it's something that Haiti can build upon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Momentum.
Definitely proud of their performance yesterday, and they had some great opportunities to equalize in that game too. Some really good shots on goal. We made I think it was Austin we had in goal, if I'm not mistaken. We really made them work back there. So they definitely did their thing.
Definitely. And before I let you go, I have one last question. Did you honestly say that
knew it was coming?
I knew I was coming on here to get jumped.
No, you're not getting
It's
jumped. It's just me.
It's literally just him.
That you appreciate the fact that the MLS All-Star Game brings in a team internationally to play, right?
Yeah.
So one could then say that there's not even enough talent in the MLS to have an All-Star Game amongst each other, right?
Nah, I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, look what we're talking about right now. We're talking about Euros. We're talking about Copa America. We're talking about Gold Cup. Football is a sport that benefits from truly being global. And I think the American mindset is always, we're the best. We have all the best stuff. Come here. Nobody does it better. And in football, that's not the case. And we know that. And everybody knows that.
There is the fundamental difference in our
counter punch. That was a counter punch.
So that's what I love more than anything, because, I appreciate knowing that, hey, maybe one time out of forever, I can see Barcelona come to the United States and play. Maybe one time out of nowhere, I can see Real Madrid come to the United States and play, and I'm still going to see my Orlando City for an entire season every single year, but also I'm getting these other clubs to come in and experience that as well too. That's how we're going to grow the game here. It's going to be a combination of
I like it.
The U.S. evolving and getting better, and also putting some of the greatest clubs from around the world on display on the US.
Here's my pushback to that though. Japan is probably the best baseball league outside of the US. Mm-hmm. The team that wins in Japan, if you put up the best 25, 30 MLB players around the league, you're not looking at a contest.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that wouldn't make for a good product in terms of all-star game.
That speaks to the appeal though.
Yeah.
But that speaks to the appeal. Sorry.
What'd you say?
Don't know 100%. We know that 100%.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because here's the thing. One could say one could say the U.S. would have gone out and blew out Nigeria the other day in basketball.
No.
You
understand what I'm saying though, because when you take the 25 best from the U.S., you're talking about the Shohei Ohtanis, who is from Japan. Well, he probably would play.
He definitely play with Team Japan.
Mm-hmm. But you're talking about like Tatis, Vlad Guerrero Jr. These guys, Jacob deGrom, you're talking about literally the best of the best from around the world, with the exception Mike Trout, with the exception of Japan. And the talent level is so vast that it wouldn't make for a good product in an all-star game. Whereas in soccer, it may be a little different.
And I think
it's definitely different. There's just more. I mean, there are better teams out in the world in soccer, and it's more of an even playing field compared to baseball. It just isn't. It's drastic in baseball.
It's really drastic.
I think one of the things I'll add on to that, can it be? And again, this is kind of like a statement and a question too, and not to like shit on baseball now, but can it be an aspect where in baseball, singularly, things kind of play out a little bit better on an individual standpoint, as opposed to needing a full-blown team chemistry, kind of, like you're not running plays and sets necessarily. It's one guy at bat if the ball goes in a certain direction, it might be just one or two guys that are going after it. Whatnot. Could you guys think that could be an aspect on it as well?
It's just the talent level is just too. The talent gap is too big. It's too wide of a margin.
I understand that, but again, we take it to the NBA. The talent gap is too big of a margin too. But when you get all of our best and randomly put them together without them consistently being together all the time, you could see where a team that talently might be less, but consistently play together, have that chemistry, have that cohesive nature, and can play a better brand of team game.
Once again, my pushback to that is even Nigeria, they have 4 or 5 guys with NBA experience. Mm-hmm. So it's a little different, whereas Team Japan may have 2 or 3 guys with MLB experience, and it wouldn't be enough to tip the scales. And when I say MLB has the best All-Star game, I'm talking about competitively and gameplay. It is played like a playoff game and managed as such.
And I like their events. I think, especially in recent years, I feel like the Home Run Derby has taken over, has been better than the slam dunk contest and the 3-point.
It's electric. Yeah, I would give you that.
So I think the actual concept of the All-Star weekend, I know it's not on a weekend, it's on a Tuesday.
The celebrity softball game is hilarious.
Yeah, like that was this past weekend, right? You know what? The celebrity softball game is more entertaining than like a bunch of NFL Pro Bowlers playing dodgeball on a Wednesday afternoon in Hawaii. I mean, that just doesn't do it for anybody.
Yeah, celebrity game is a lot of fun, and they get the personalities they get out there, and on the former players, it makes it like entertaining.
I want to see Dave Chappelle in one of those games. He'd be hilarious.
Just going yard.
The celebrity stuff, I feel like no matter what the All-Star platform is, the celebrity stuff is always the best,
Yeah.
We need to put some celebrities in pads.
You know what I think we need to do? Rick, I don't know when you're going to be in New York again. Hopefully you make it soon. We need to have Rick try to hit some home runs and record that. And just to show Rick how difficult it is to pop a ball over a fence at maybe I'll give him a short push. We'll go to Eisenhower A, where it's like 310 down the line.
You gonna take
that
PKs
is a short
too?
point.
You gonna take PKs too?
I'll take PKs. I'll do it. I'm with it. Let's do it.
Listen. Let me alter my stance on the home run. Obviously, here's the thing I want to say. I obviously know it's not easy to hit a home run. So let's get that out the way. The guys that are in the Derby obviously can hit home runs. So I'm basing my theory off the fact that obviously everybody in the Derby can hit home runs. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to say it's like, hey, anybody could just get up and get it over the fence. I get that point. You know what I mean?
Well, Womack still needs to be struck out a couple times.
Yeah.
I feel like
a lot of challenges are being sent out.
For me, a home run, I'd love to see a home run derby done similar to like Top Golf. Let's put like some random point targets at random spots and let's see.
But that's not a home run derby though.
How about a sports hitless home run derby?
That's not fair.
That's like Rocket Jock from back in the day, 25-point shots.
Real quick, it just popped up on my phone. Just got announced that Ohtani is going to start and lead off.
Let's go.
Yeah, so it's happening. About a week ago. So it's happening now.
And he's playing.
We spoke it into existence.
Yeah,
you heard it here first on Smoke and Mirrors. We spoke that into existence. Oh man,
look at that home run derby starting the All-Star
game. This guy
game.
gives up 5 runs in the first inning. It's gonna be so bad.
Why are you speaking that? Why would you do that?
Because he's a hating Yankee fan. That's why.
Oh no, I love it.
We did it. We got 7 runs on him in the first inning. Anyone could do it.
You know what, Greg? You disrespected his motherland in Japan, so I don't want to hear it. All right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you sure did.
100%.
Carl is right. Even though I put out the challenge to Rick when he's in New York, no challenge should happen in the sports hit list until Jamal Womack shows up on a baseball field and gives me that cool breeze that I'm looking for from 3 straight swings and misses.
We need that, man. We need that. At this point, it's going to be like Mayweather and Pacquiao. I think we're going to get it when it's way too late. We need that in your prime.
That's facts.
So somebody tag Womack, let him know I'm out here, bro. I'm out here. I'm ready for you. And EP, Carl wanted to ask us one question before we end. Cheez-Its or Goldfish? What's your pick?
Bro, Cheez-Its, man. Come on. It's not even close. Like, who's eating Goldfish, yo?
Yo, I don't know about you, bro, but Goldfish has stepped their game up. They got vanilla cupcake Goldfish.
Oh, I don't need that. Speaking of, while we at it,
I'm gonna go Goldfish.
Listen, while we at it, if it's Cheez-Its, it's only the original. Don't give me that white cheddar nonsense, man.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's it.
Listen, I'm gonna say this. pretzel goldfish is not bad. But if I want pretzels, I'll have some goddamn pretzels. I don't need to go to Goldfish to get my pretzels. It's like
I like
I don't go to
Goldfish
Taco
marketing.
Bell. I don't go to
Yeah.
Taco Bell for a burger. Like
Go
you don't need to mix and match. Cheez-Its all the way, Rick. You said it perfect.
That's it,
on
man.
go on
Like you
Goldfish.
all the way you
We're looking for
like you
sponsors.
more.
Cheez-Its and Blue Moon, pull up.
Yeah, Blue Moon.
Facts. Nabisco, we out here. Cheez-Its,
There it
Blue
is.
Moon. I got my Poland Spring seltzer water. We getting sponsors out here.
We don't. We just give them free promo. That's what we do.
Yeah,
Nah, we got to clip this whole segment
That's like
and
what we-
tag,
that's like what
tag
we-
them individually.
Individually, yeah.
Steph, free promo. That's like what we used to do on Worldwide. I mean,
Hey, we off that.
Look at that face. Look at that face. Ooh, shots. Well, Rick, with that, I want to say thank you for coming on. It was great having you. Glad the debut went this way.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
wealth of knowledge. Really appreciate
Thanks.
everything that you gave us. And Greg, you too. I know you watch football already, but the back and forth, I was just like, wow, he really does this.
it.
Going toe to toe with Rick.
Yo, the football chat is lit, man. Pull up, yo. We in there.
It's definitely the most active out of all the hit list groups. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
And I'm active in WhatsApp, but there
Yeah.
are times where I'll come back and I'll see like 400 messages. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, y'all are
yeah.
wild.
it's
I like
usually
that.
it's usually Travis and Paul arguing about something.
Oh no!
But
I'm not
Travis-
I'm talking about the soccer chat.
Yeah,
bro.
not
Hold on, hold on.
Football.
He said football. He said
I said no.
You know what?
said it with the two of
You're right. My bad, Declan. You're right.
All right.
He don't know yet. He don't know. He's still on soccer. Yeah.
I don't know what my mom's commenting in the chat. There are toxic chemicals in Cheez-Its.
That's probably why we like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Goldfish,
Makes
baby.
sense.
All right.
How else are they on?
Natural. But yeah, Rick, thanks again for coming on, man.
Anytime. fellas.
Look forward to having you again.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I love
Take
the
care.
jersey, even though I don't know who that is.
Oh
That's-
no,
that's
wait,
the
before I
Orlando?
go, I got a shout out. This is my favorite player in the world, man. Caleb Nathaniel Etienne. This is my son's academy, yo.
Nice.
Hey.
Nice.
Shout him out, man. Hopefully we'll
Yes.
see him in the 2030 World Cup. We'll see.
Put it out into the universe right now.
Get
All
him
sir.
get him into that men's academy.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it though, fellas, man.
Yeah.
I'll be back on anytime y'all need me.
Love it.
problem.
Take care, man.
All right, peace.
But with that, we're gonna wrap up. Gentlemen, you have anything else you want to add? You want to say?
Nah, that was a fun show.
Jam packed. Yeah,
It was a fun show. We got feisty, but like then we went to like Cheetos and Goldfish, and we were pretty relaxed.
But yeah, so I just want to let y'all know, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all Hitless content on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. The handle is Sports HL. Again, that's Sports HL. Coming up, we're going to have Off the Top Rope tonight at 7:30. Wednesday, all right, yeah, thank you. Wednesday, we have the main show, Boss Man, and as always, 6 p.m. for the summertime. And if I'm not mistaken, the B show's back this week, correct?
I heard that
Are you
rumor.
looking it up right now? It's a rumor, right? Like I'm not
Like,
100% sure, but I'm
someone
gonna put
said
it
it.
out
Was
there.
it was it Manny maybe? So I
Yeah,
don't
someone
know.
in the comments I think
What
said
that
it. B show's
Carl's
coming
in the
back.
comments. Carl can confirm this right now.
Please,
I guarantee
please
you
do.
His thumbs are like freaking. I don't know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now going on the track for his phone.
So maybe we have the B show back on Thursday. Hopefully we will, and then we'll be back again on Friday.
Pete Alonso's winning
1
tonight.
p.m. Yeah, well, I was gonna mention that we do have the home run derby tonight, 8 p.m. We know our selections. I said Gallows taking it all. You could both have
Me and Deck went with Pete.
Yeah.
You know the
So
vibes. You know the
we're gonna
vibes.
see. We're
You know
gonna see
what's
8
back
p.m.
Thursday at 5 p.m. You know what's back Thursday 5 p.m.
The
Baseball.
B show.
Gang gang.
Yeah, Carl just confirmed.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it is.
No, baseball is back Thursday 7 p.m. The Yankees
True.
for the Red Sox. We try to win this
I wasn't wrong. B show's
Yeah.
back, so we confirmed. All right, so B show back on Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, so y'all can look forward to Deb coming back and giving y'all all that entertainment that you love and enjoy. I'm not going to be able to make that show, but I'm trying to get back for the B crew, the B crew reuniting.
Might have to replace you like I replaced Mike, bro.
Oh no.
I mean, did you replace Mike? I think he just like popped in. It was like a replacement, like, you know. you just
Was
kinda
it like
fill
how,
in? You know,
Kemp
that sounds better.
replaced, what's his name on Three Stooges? So one of them got replaced. It's not that important.
I do not remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's all right. You know what? Next episode, you can come back and tell everybody.
I'll ask some of the boomers. No problem.
But yeah, the All-Star game, don't forget, it's going to be Tuesday, 7:30. Look forward to Ohtani starting, pitching, and leading off for the AL team.
He's gonna strike out the side and lead off with a bomba.
All right, I like that. I'm calling that. You want to bet? You put that? You want to bet? You want to put that
After
money
he
on that?
disrespected his nation, he's gonna go and
I mean, I didn't say anything false though. I'm just saying.
Make some money off that though.
Nah, I gotta go buy Pampers, bro. I'm good.
Well, that's gonna do it for us. Again, your host Stefan Polius alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. This is Smoke and Mirrors presented by the Sports Hit List. We'll be back on Friday, like I said earlier. Until then, enjoy your week and take care.